all my fight fans, UFC 291 is in the record books. It is definitely one of the best cards I have seen in a very long time. It had a little bit of everything. I am super excited to talk to you guys about it because I promise you it did not disappoint. If you haven't seen the fights, go ahead and check them out. I'm about to talk about them right here. I'm about to release a little spoilers if you haven't seen them, so please go check it out. In 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. So, in the main event, you had the BMF title on the line. You had Dustin Poirier. You had Justin Gaethje. You had these two guys who have met before in a Fight of the Year candidate. These guys are really dogs in the yard. These guys love to fight. And these guys are never in a boring fight. They're always going tit for tat for each other. They're always trading punches, trading kicks, trading everything with each other. And at this fight, it was just about that. It was like more of a continuation from their first round. Or from their first fight, I should say. But what ends up happening? What ends up happening is Justin Gaethje surprises everybody, including Dustin Poirier, with a high kick that knocks out Dustin Poirier cold. It completely flatlined him. I was so shocked when I saw that kick. It was a little bit of a reminiscence of Leon Edwards knocking out Kamaru Usman last year in August. It just so happens to be in the exact same city, Salt Lake City, Utah. So guys, it was definitely a great fight. It was going to be even better, continuing to get better, I should say, but it was one hell of an impressive knockout. Justin Gaethje is your new BMF champion. I definitely am not disappointed whatsoever with the outcome. I would have loved this fight to happen a little bit longer, let these guys continue to exchange some punches, but hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it was still a great knockout. So what's going to be next for Justin Gaethje? Well, Justin Gaethje, I think he's going to sit in the sidelines for a little bit because we got the lightweight championship on the line in Abu Dhabi in October against Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira. Rematch. We already seen what happened the first time. You never know. Could be a different outcome. Justin Gaethje has openly said that he wants to fight the winner of that fight. That he actually wants to be over there. He doesn't necessarily want to be the backup fighter, but he definitely wants to be over there. So I can definitely see him taking on the winner of that fight 100%. 100%, I mean, I cannot see him taking on another fight. I would prefer him to actually sit in the sidelines because it's still a very dangerous division. Lightweight is definitely either the number 1 or number 2 most dangerous weight class in the UFC, right next to bantamweight. So do I recommend Justin Gaethje sit in the sidelines? You know, take a break, take some time off, let your body heal, be 100%? Yes, because Charles Oliveira, he already lost to. Islam Makhachev is no punk. He's a beast of himself. So you definitely want to prepare for these guys, 100%. That's my personal opinion. Dustin Poirier, he's going to come back. Dustin Poirier is a warrior. Dustin Poirier is a gladiator. Dustin Poirier has been knocked out before. He's been stopped by Conor McGregor at featherweight. He's been stopped by Michael Johnson in lightweight in the beginning stages of his career. So he has been here before. So he can come back. And he has the potential of fighting for that championship down the line. 100%. He says that's what he wants. He wants to fight for that title. He potentially even wants to fight for that BMF title again. Hell, these guys are one apiece. Dustin Poirier has 1 win. Justin Gaethje has 1 win. We could go for 3. Let's go for part 3. And who are us as fans? Will we hate it? Hell no. Hell no. I would not hate it one single bit. I would want that fight 100% to happen. But both of them agreed they do not want it next. So what's going to be next for Dustin Poirier? Hey, you know what? Beneil Dariush just came off a loss over Charles Oliveira back in June. I don't see why not. These guys can't mix things up again. You know, why not? Or not again, excuse me, but for the first time. You know, I believe Dustin Poirier wasn't too thrilled about fighting Beneil when they first offered it to him. But you know what? At the end of the day, you want to keep yourself busy. Michael Chandler, we don't know what's going on with him and Conor McGregor. You know, Islam and Charles Oliveira are already booked up, and he just so happened to get a loss over Justin Gaethje. So there really is no one out there that's catching his eye at the moment. So I would personally think it would be Beneil next for Dustin Poirier if he wants to continue going down that road for title contention. On the co-main event, you had Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz. It was not something that we expected. I guess, it was something we expected, but it wasn't the fireworks that we were hoping to see. We were hoping to see, Alex Pereira being this crazy striker and possibly even knocking out Jan Blachowicz, or we were hoping to see maybe a lot more of Jan Blachowicz' ground game. But it was a little bit more of a stale fight. You know, you saw Alex Pereira throw some bombs, and you saw Jan getting caught by some of those bombs and doing some wrestling, taking Alex Pereira down and kind of holding them. There wasn't much of a ground and pound. Yes, he was a little bit more of a busier fighter, and he had a little bit more control time. But it just felt like he didn't necessarily do much with it when he was on the ground. You know, I didn't see too much of the ground and pound. I didn't see too much of like, you know, submission attempts. I just saw a lot of holding, maybe a little bit here and there movement, but nothing too crazy. Nothing that was just gonna make you like, oh yeah, for sure, he won that fight. It still could have gone either way, but I do feel like with the power shots and the explosive shots that Alex Pereira was able to land, I do feel like he was the rightful victor. It still really could have gone either way. I don't feel like it was a robbery, but 100%, I do feel like that Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira, the judges got it correct. Alex Pereira got that victory. So what's going to be next? Well, I see a potential championship matchup for Alex Pereira. I do potentially see that happening. I do see him taking on Yuri Prochazka in the I want to say what I guess vacant light heavyweight championship of the world. We're not sure when. You know, Yuri Prochazka is out. He's been out for quite some time. So there's really no timetable. My guess would be December, quite possibly. But you never know. You never know. But I do feel like Alex Pereira has earned a right at the light heavyweight championship strap, 100%. As far as Jan Blachowicz goes, he is a little bit older, and he doesn't have much time left, and I'm sure he wants to fight for the belt once more. But I can see a possible rematch with Ankalaev. You know, I believe those two went toe-to-toe with each other back in December of last year, where the fight got to a draw. So why not have these two guys mix things up again and get a rightful winner? That's a potential opponent for Jan Blachowicz. So that's what I got to say regarding that. I don't think much else for Jan is up there, but you never know. You never know. Light heavyweight is still very much wide open. You had Derek Lewis versus Marcos. I'm drawing a blank on his DeLima, I believe his last name was. What a victory. What a victory for Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis just went in there with a flying knee and got some ground and pound in and pretty much was able to get the fight stopped and became that Black Beast again. He was able to secure a win, secure his first win in quite some time. You know, he was on a 3-fight losing skid, and he was able to get back in there. Derek Lewis looked in shape. He looked healthy. He looked ready. He looked pumped. He looked excited. He looked like he wanted to fight. He looked like he wanted to be there. Yes, 100%. One thing is we did not know this was actually his last fight in the contract. But in the press conference, he did mention the fact that he does want to stay within the UFC, and he wants to continue fighting the UFC and potential other opponents out there, possibly even opponents where he wants to get rematches, like Pavlich or Spivak, I believe his name is. There's a few other guys that he possibly wants to get victories over, the people that actually beat him. So you never know. There's the heavyweight division is always stacked. There's always fun fights for Derek Lewis to have. It's always fun, always entertaining to see Derek Lewis fight. His Marcos DeLima, you know, he's still very young in the game. He's still got some time. There's still plenty of other opposition that he could go out there against. So nothing to really be down on yourself with. You know, a loss, it happens. He'll probably come back stronger. I could definitely see that potentially happening. And you never know, he might see Derek Lewis down the line again. You had Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson. I was actually very excited for this fight. You know, very excited. These guys, tough fighters in the lightweight. I guess you could say lightweight history overall, because you know Bobby Green's always up for a fight. Tony Ferguson is always a dog in all these fights. So I believe they're like the most toughest guys in the lightweight division is what I was looking for, the word. But these guys were able to duke it out. These guys were able to scrap it out, and you know Tony Ferguson looked good earlier around. He was actually able to drop Bobby Green, but then Bobby ended up hitting him with the eye poke, and it pretty much stalled. It really stalled Tony Ferguson's momentum. And moving forward towards that, I feel like Bobby Green was able to take over. It was the break that Bobby Green needed, because I do feel like Bobby Green was hurt. Bobby Green was actually moving around and trying to get his momentum back, but then that eye poke stopped everything. He was able to catch his breath. He was able to, get his composure back, and from that point on, he took over the rest of the fight, finally submitting, well, not necessarily submitting, but choking out Tony Ferguson for the first time. Tony Ferguson, if you know, he is not someone that taps. Doesn't matter who. He does not tap. He does not even, honestly, you have to knock him out to stop him. Like the way Michael Chandler did. But Justin Gaethje literally had to get a referee stoppage because he was just not going to stop. Remember that armbar that Charles Oliveira had Tony Ferguson in. Did not tap. Any other human being, any other fighter in the UFC would have tapped. But not Tony Ferguson. That's just not who he is. So, Bobby Green got a good victory, and I do feel like that's a really good step up for him in the lightweight division. I don't feel like he is 100% ready for the upper elite guys, but, he could sneakily, slowly but surely eke his way in there. Step inside in there, take on some other fighters, take on some other opponents up there, in the rankings, maybe up there, top 10, top 15, somewhere around that level, possibly. But don't rush it. Don't rush it. It's a good win. It's a good win over a really tough opponent, but you don't want to rush going up into the top 5 guys in the most dangerous division in UFC. One of them. As far as Tony Ferguson goes, he was one of my favorite fighters for sure. I loved watching him fight. I love all his fights. The one with Anthony Pettis, Rafael dos Anjos, Edson Barbosa, Josh Thompson, Donald Cerrone. The list goes on and on and on. But I feel like it should be done for Tony Ferguson. This is his 6th fight in a row losing. It's very unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's just like, come on. You got to know when to stop. He did look good. But what are you waiting for? Are you waiting to where you don't look good, where you completely just getting annihilated? It's like, there really isn't. I mean, even during the fight, when I saw him in there with Bobby Green in round 2 and round 3, even part of me was like, it's just not him no more. He's not that fast. He doesn't have those crazy movements like he used to do back in the day. Like the way Tony Ferguson used to fight. It's just not who he is anymore. He's slowed down so much. He is getting older. And it's just very unfortunate to see, but I do personally feel like Tony Ferguson should call it a day. It's his career. It's his choice. We all got to let him decide that. Let him decide what he wants to do. But, if it is his last fight, it was one hell of a career, and I definitely enjoyed watching him fight, for sure. You also had Kevin Holland versus Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa had not fought anybody since 2021, I want to say. Kevin Holland, always busy, always keeping himself very active, and got a good victory over, guess what? Just so happens to be a Darce choke, something that Michael Chiesa has often said is his kryptonite. So, but it's very impressive, because we never really thought that or anticipated that Kevin Holland would do that to somebody, especially like Michael Chiesa, who is a well-known grappler, a well-known submission artist himself. He is very talented, very skilled himself on the ground. If it was a stoppage or if it was a knockout, I could definitely see that potentially happen with Kevin Holland. But it wasn't. And Kevin Holland actually utilized some of his grappling. He had mentioned that he is actually really good on the ground. So, not really good on the ground, but we're training with other trainers to get his ground game up. So it showed a lot against Michael Chiesa. It really did. It really, really did. So it was a very impressive win for Kevin Holland. Very impressive win. What's next for him? He has already said that he might want to go back to middleweight. He likes doing things. He likes eating. He likes to keep himself in shape up in middleweight, where he doesn't necessarily have to cut too much weight at welterweight. He's looked really good at welterweight. That fight with Stephen Thompson and that fight that he just recently had with Michael Chiesa. So, but at middleweight, he did have that, unfortunate loss to Khamzat Chimaev and a few other guys, but he could still keep himself busy. And he's shown that he can actually make both weight classes. So the sky's the limit for Kevin Holland. Little by little, he looks like he's getting better. He's improving a lot better. He's actually doing a lot better. So yes, I could definitely see a lot of fun matchups for Kevin Holland down the line. Potentially even a rematch with Khamzat Chimaev if he just so happens to get better. I don't recommend it, but you never know. As far as Michael Chiesa goes, it depends on what he really wants to do. I know he's a commentator. I know he definitely works in the background at the UFC. So, and again, this is his first fight in, I want to say, a year and a half. So if he still wants to do this, there's still some matchups he could potentially have. But as far as getting in there with the upper echelon opponents, the top 5 and such, it seems a little bit too much of a reach, but you never know. Some stranger things have happened before down the line. Well, there you have it, guys. UFC 291. It was definitely a very fun, entertaining night. I definitely recommend you seeing it. I definitely recommend you watching these fights for yourself and judging them for yourself, and let me know what you think. Let me know who do you think is going to fight next. Let me know who you think should have won or didn't win. Just give me your input, guys. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.